I'm Tim of Govberg, and welcome to the world of Jaeger-LeCoultre. Today, I'll be your guide to the Jaeger-LeCoultre Master Compressor Chronograph Ceramic. Before we discuss the functions of the watch, it's best to discuss the material itself first. Ceramic is an exceptionally hard, high-tech material that's used to impart high levels of scratch and scuff resistance to a luxury watch case. Now, the ceramic you see here is of a matte finish and black, and most objects, rather than scratching the ceramic, may leave a deposit of their own fabric on the ceramic case. Sometimes metal objects will leave what appears to be a scratch. Wooden objects will appear as a scuff. And in most cases, these marks can simply be removed using a rubber eraser. So be mindful of marks on your case. They're usually superficial and can be removed with consummate ease. Just have a pencil or rubber eraser handy. Now, ceramic is effectively, for watchmaking purposes, as scratch resistant as sapphire. So just as we've come to associate sapphire crystals with scratch resistance, but also to understand their handling limitations, we have to have the same understanding of ceramic. While it's extremely scratch and scuff resistant like a sapphire, also like a sapphire, it should not be subjected to extreme blunt force or point force. Again, this is in the interest of preserving the exceptionally hard fabric of the ceramic, which, though very scratch resistant, can, in extreme cases, like a sapphire, be chipped or cracked. With that in mind, let's take a look at the movement and the functions of the watch. This is an automatic winding timepiece that can nevertheless be manually wound. Now, I want to demonstrate the function of the compressor crown, which is 1/2 turn open and 1/2 turn closed. So, from white we turn to red, and with the red arrows visible in the first position flush to the case, we can manually wind the watch. If it's stopped, we turn 20 to 30 times, and we'll know that the watch is operating because we'll see the constant seconds hand at 6 o'clock advancing on its dial. You can also start the chronograph and see if the chronograph functions. Then you know for sure that the watch is running. Now, once the watch is running, you can simply set the time, set the second time zone, set the date, and the natural course of kinetic action in conjunction with the under case back winding rotor will fully energize the watch in the course of daily use. But should you wish to wind the watch to its maximum rated power reserve of 65 hours, simply continue turning the crown. The bridle style mainspring will slip to relieve excess tension. The watch cannot accidentally be overwound. Listen for the subtle click or snick of the bridle slipping. That's your sign the watch is fully wound. Now, once you've wound the watch, there are other setting functions that you can utilize. For instance, stop seconds. You see, I've pulled the crown to the outermost extremity, 2 detents from flush, and the sub-seconds hand at 6 o'clock has stopped. Now I can set the watch against a reference time. The best way to do this is to wait for the seconds to actually reach the top of its travel, at the top of its dial, then stop the balance, hack the seconds or use stop seconds, advance the minute hand to the next nearest minute compared to the reference time, wait for the reference time to catch up to the nearest second to the time you've set on your dial, then push the crown back in. The watch continues to beat. Now you've synchronized precisely to the second. In the intermediate position, 1 detent pull out from flush to the case, you can set both the second time zone and the date of the watch. By turning the crown in a clockwise direction, you activate the second time zone. You can see how it can be hidden underneath the local time hour hand if you wish to clean up the dial of the watch when a second time zone is not required. You'll also note the small aperture below the company name at 12 o'clock. That is your night-day indicator for that reference or second time zone. It lets you know, for instance, whether you're looking at a time just past 7 a.m. or 7 p.m., thus helping to avoid those early morning or late night wake-up calls to far-flung friends and business associates. Now, when you turn the crown in a counterclockwise direction, you activate the quick set date. Keep in mind that the quick set date function should never be used between the hours of 8:30 p.m. and 3:30 a.m., as that is the period during which the watch is automatically jumping the date as it transitions through midnight. Using the quick set during the danger zone period from 8:30 p.m. to 3:30 a.m. can crash the movement and cause severe damage. Now, with respect to the chronograph, it's important to note that because of the vertical clutch architecture of this movement, you can leave the chronograph engaged. Simply allow it to continue to run, and the watch will burn through more power reserve, but the course of daily wear, if you wear the watch daily, will be enough to continue to keep the watch wound and operating with the chronograph in action. This is critical because many older chronograph architectures of the type not used by Jaeger-LeCoultre cannot be continuously engaged without wear and tear taking place on the movement. Thanks to the vertical clutch, if you prefer to have a large center seconds hand, simply leave the chronograph running. With respect to operation of the chronograph, you start, you stop, and you reset in that order. Using the pusher at 2, always start and stop the chronograph prior to resetting with the pusher at 4. Starting and then attempting to reset can crash the movement and cause severe damage. Now, the watch features a compressor crown, which is a Jaeger-LeCoultre company patented invention. It replaces the screw-down traditional dive crown, and it does so with a mechanism that is far easier to use when your hands are gloved or sweaty or wet, and I can attest to the ease of use of this crown as my hands are in fact gloved. Moreover, it's color-coded. White you're tight and secure, red you're dead. And thus, we enter a discussion of hazards facing your watch. First and foremost, water resistance. Now, this watch is placed on a strap that is made of calfskin leather. No leather strap is ever water resistant, as leather is a porous natural material that will degrade in the presence of moisture. So ensure the watch is on a water resistant strap before immersion. Now, as with all Jaeger-LeCoultre watches, there is an engraved indication of water resistance on the caseback, in this case 10 bar, 100 meters. This is sufficient for most aggressive waterborne activities, short of outright professional diving. However, you can help to avoid accidental drowning by keeping your crown completely secured and disusing all functions, chronograph and crown, while the watch is submerged or while there is water on the case, as attempting to use the functions can bypass the robust seals and introduce water to the interior of the watch. Now, water resistance is not a static feature of a watch, unlike mechanical specification. Over time, as seals age and lubricants dry out, a watch's water resistance will ebb. Therefore, Jaeger-LeCoultre recommends that every 12 months minimally, you have your watch water tested at an authorized service center to ensure that it is still as rated from the factory. Now, magnetism and shock are additional hazards, magnetism being a silent killer, insidious and ubiquitous. It's present in the closures of purses and wallets, refrigerator doors. Its presence in high-powered wiring looms makes the office and the home hazardous conditions, and of course speakers, subwoofers, and MRI equipment can all magnetize the ferrous hairspring at the center of your watch's balance. Now, if the hairspring becomes magnetized, the watch will run erratically. It may gain time, it may lose time, but if you suspect your watch has become magnetized, take it to an authorized Jaeger-LeCoultre service center where specialized equipment is available to quickly and easily demagnetize your watch. Shock, however, can be more severe. Activities such as snowmobiling, mountain bike riding, operation of ATVs, firearms marksmanship, tennis, batting, and golf should never overlap with the use of the watch, as these are concussive activities that may disable the mechanical movement because of their sheer violence, so disuse the watch during those activities. And ultimately, every fine mechanical movement does require a comprehensive service. Jaeger-LeCoultre recommends approximately every 2 years a full overhaul with the manufacturer or manufacturer-designated authorized service center. This will include cosmetic restoration of the watch, replacement of the strap, restoration of water resistance, as well as cleaning, oiling, and regulation of the movement. Now, it's important to do this exclusively with authorized service centers because these specialties are all characteristic of service centers: trained personnel, original factory replacement parts, and specialized equipment. Without those, a non-authorized service center simply cannot protect the investment and instrument value of your watch. Plus, when you service with an authorized center, all labor and parts invested are backed by a Jaeger-LeCoultre factory service warranty. Ultimately, call, text, or email our experts at govbergwatches.com, who will be happy to walk you through every phase of the care, usage, and ownership of this or any Jaeger-LeCoultre fine timepiece.